Are you leaving your future to chance, or are you ready to take control of the life that you want to live? Welcome back to Action Architects episode 4, Bridging the Gap, the one framework you need to hit every goal and create the blueprint for success. Whether you're striving for personal growth, a career goal, a lifestyle goal, this episode will support you with this framework to ensure success. A step-by-step guide going from where you are now to achieving your goal. What is it that's in between the goal and taking those actions that we don't always consider, and that could be the key to unlocking your success? Once I've gone through this framework with you and you are interested, there is a great opportunity for listeners to come on the podcast, and I'll go through the framework in a coaching session to support you in your specific goal. So if you're interested, comment, message me, and let's connect. I'll take you through the journey and the map from the goal to the areas that you need to develop. From those, what are the behaviours or the skills or maybe a process that you need to follow to achieve those development areas, and then right down to the individual actions that you need to take, which will actually link all of that behind the scenes work together and ensure that you achieve your goal. Where do we start? My suggestion is start small. Don't think about, to begin with, those big goals in life, where you want to be in 5 years' time. If you're ready for that, go ahead. But if you're not and you're feeling slightly overwhelmed, just choose one small goal that will change your life from what you're doing now towards where you want to go. Any change that you want, put this framework, put this thought process into place so that you can be successful. Once you've done it once, it just starts, the floodgates open, and you realise you can take action, you can achieve, and you're noticing the difference that it makes in your life. You may be coming from one of two different perspectives. Some people are big picture and they can just explain the goal and that's fine, they can go with it. And other people want to know the little details and can't quite see where they will end up. If you're big picture, it means that when you walk into the room, you acknowledge and realise it's a room. There might be people in it, there might be some desks, but big picture is you've walked into a room. If you're details orientated, you walk into a room and you notice the pattern on the carpet, maybe even how many people are in the room, what's on the walls, people's facial expressions, what they're wearing, and you take in every single detail. So notice, which one are you? Do you think about every single detail? When you try and have something explained to you, you want to know all of the details of how it works to understand the big picture. Or do you want a summary and a big picture, and from there, then you can start to understand the details behind it? Either way, notice which you are, so that you can put that perspective on what we're going to do and also challenge yourself to the opposite perspective. Goals can be scary because what you're asking of yourself is to move out the nice comfort of where you are now and change. Changing and being uncomfortable. It's like crossing your arms one way and then trying to cross them the other way. It feels uncomfortable. It feels awkward. So knowing it can feel overwhelming, sets you up a realistic understanding that this isn't going to be easy, no matter how small the goal or the step that you're going to take. Goals are overwhelming, but let's use this framework to break it down and work out where we need to go and what we need to do to ensure that we gain the actions and are successful. So we start off with a goal. Great. something that you want, something that you need to change. From there, I want you to think about, what areas do I need to develop to ensure that I'm successful at the goal? What do I need to excel at? And when I do, it means I will achieve my goal. These areas are great because they've broken the goal down into smaller chunks, and you're also able to evaluate each of them individually. So you may be succeeding at 2 really, really well, and there's just one area that you need to focus on. It might just be one area that's holding you back. What do I mean about breaking it down into areas? Well, here's an example. If your goal is career related, the areas that you're going to need to succeed at is the technical, it might be the knowledge, it might be the people skills, it might be personal skills. So there's 4 areas that we can look at to develop to ensure that we can achieve whatever career goal, starting a business, starting a podcast that you might have. I know my mindset is that I am achieving with the passion, with my knowledge, with all of my experience and bringing it to people. I stand in front of people and facilitate and give speeches and lectures and group work, one-to-one coaching. I have that confidence. But another area that I need to succeed in is the technical. Unless I have a lot of money and finance to bring forward, I'm going to have to do that myself, starting off. So I need to learn social media, different platforms that require different things. Some are visual, some are auditory. And that is where I need to put a lot of my focus to get myself off of the ground. So that one big area is where I'm going to focus a lot of my actions right now. Another example that you might have a goal for is weight loss. I would consider weight loss a health goal. And when we look at it slightly differently like that, we actually realise the areas that I need to succeed in to achieve my weight loss goal is my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health, and my spiritual health. When I look at it in that bigger picture, I realise there are multiple areas I must succeed in to achieve that goal. A lot of people will just focus on that physical health, maybe diet, exercise, and hope that they achieve their goal. But what I noticed doing my weight management masters is that most people have a mental health element that impacts that physical health and that weight loss. And if you ignore that, the chances of being successful at your goal drastically reduce, and it makes the journey harder. So as you can see, considering all of the areas that can contribute to succeeding in a goal is so important. You now have a few choices. How well do you want to achieve the goal? How much time and effort do you want to put towards the goal? And where do you need your focus right now? You may find focusing on one area is all that you needed to do. And that might be because you've got strengths in the other areas. And so the one focus area that you put all of your effort into is enough. And sometimes that happens. But know this, reach for the stars so that at a minimum you're still hitting the moon and you are achieving more than you can imagine. Then you need to broaden your view and look at all of the areas that might contribute. Now you've identified those areas, we look at the next level. And the next level is considering what behaviours, what skills, and what processes do I need to ensure that I can achieve that development area. Looking at the processes, for me, I need to improve my time efficiency going from filming all the way through to uploading for you all every week. Processes that I do now that I'm learning more, now that I'm trying, failing, discovering and adjusting. There are processes that I can definitely put in place and write down so that I can speed up and achieve more in the time that I'm using. If I think about the behaviours that I need to achieve the technical aspect of creating a podcast, I need to be creative, ambitious. I need to be curious, reflective, analytical. And using those behaviours, I can then consider developing the podcast to the best of my ability. And as those behaviours develop in what I do, it means I'll be more and more successful going forward. And then that third area, the skills. What skills do I need in the technical area to mean that I will achieve? Well, there's the technical aspect of the software and the hardware, the microphone, the camera, the editing software. Each different website for downloading, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all slightly different, all technical, and all need to be learned. So those are the skills that I need to learn. When we're considering those behaviours, skills, and processes, what we're trying to decide is, who do I need to become to achieve my goal? What is the identity of the person that is a podcaster, that is doing the technical aspects of getting a podcast from a camera all the way to the listener? Who do I need to become to achieve that? Now, every step that I've described so far, the development areas and also the behaviours, processes and skills areas, what I want you to try and do is think of everything that I need to achieve that. So don't just focus on where your weaknesses, where your areas of development are. Also, identify the areas you're already doing, the skills that you already have, the behaviours you already have, the processes you already have for each of those areas that mean you'll be successful. Why take time to do that? You need to take time to do that to notice what you're doing well. Because if you take some of the strengths of what you're doing well, you'll be able to apply them to those areas that you need to develop. It also means on those tough days, and we've got our negative mindset and that bias is coming up to get us, you can fall back on, okay, I may not be able to do this right now, but going forward, I can achieve, and look at all the things I can already do. And that supports you in going through that roller coaster that you do go through when trying to achieve any goal. And now we're finally at that point of the actual actions that we need to take that accumulate over time, that we do day in, day out, that become our routine to ensure that we achieve our goal. So for every behaviour, think of actions that will support us to be able to be and do that behaviour. For every skill, think of those small actions that you can take that ensures you will achieve and have that skill. The processes, again, what are the actions you need to take to ensure that you've got the right processes in place to achieve the development area to support the success of your goal? Some of my actions for the podcast are writing out the flow from camera all the way through to editing software, going through that process to the download, and then from the download, what happens next. If I've written that down and my action is to write it down, It's something I can go back on and look through and follow. So my action is to write down a flow and follow the flow. Doesn't mean I can't adapt it, but I've got something there, an action that I need to take. A second action is keeping to my self-care plan and boundaries. This will be developing my behaviour of discipline, which I think is important to achieve the technical aspects of my goal. If I don't have discipline, I don't put time limits on myself or boundaries, and I might work too late at night, and that has a knock-on effect. So my focus is discipline so that it enables all parts of my life, all parts of the goal to be successful. And a third action is the skills of audio and visual skill development. To take more photos, take more videos when I'm with my family, when I'm out and about, so that I can practice those skills and improve. One action. Remember, actions are there to support you in achieving your goal. Without those small, daily, consistent actions, you're not going to get there. So take the time to think about, what are you really going to do? What can you commit to day in, day out, even when it's boring? And I suggest consider actions that are enjoyable, that you've been creative when you've decided what they will be. Are they actions that you can connect to a routine that you already do to make it easier for yourself? It's about removing as many barriers as you can to get to doing those actions. Because right now, you don't do those actions, and there is a reason for it. So unless you overcome that reason, you're going to find that you are not successful. So remember that and make those actions enjoyable, simple, easy, the smallest possible step, and you are far more likely to succeed. And that's it. That's the framework. You have your goal. You've identified the areas that need to develop that you can reflect and evaluate on their own. And then for each area, you've thought about the behaviours, the skills, the processes needed to achieve in that area. And with that underlying information, the behind the scenes information, you've created now your action list to take forward, to do, to achieve. I'd suggest don't try and do all of the actions and changes at once, but if you want to, go for it. Select some actions that you can take forward that maybe one you know you can do and be successful straight away, or a second one that is really challenging for you, because the energy you'll gain when you achieve it, because you will, helps you going into the future. There was a great video that I watched on Instagram the other week around the boy that collected the balls closest to put them in the bucket all the way to the furthest one, and the other boy went to the furthest one first. And what we found as they went and did what they were doing, the boy that went to the furthest balls first to put in the bucket succeeded, and succeeded quicker. Because sometimes we run out of energy. So wouldn't it be nice to do those easy ones last to help you get over the line and help you to succeed? There it is, the framework. If you have any questions, please drop a comment, send me a message, connect with me, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, the YouTube channel, on the podcast channels. Any way that you like, I would love to hear from you and have a conversation. I'm passionate about this and I want to share it with others. If you think this episode can help someone, share it. If you think this episode will really support what somebody else is doing, share it. Thank you so much for your time today. And just a reminder, this is me and my experience from being a teacher in the military, working for a top university, and now globally on leadership programs and executive coaching. It's my experience and my experience of life. I am not a trained therapist. If you think you need professional advice, please seek a professional. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon.